Gonna be going through some Bloodborne with you. This game is really cool, and I know a lot of people can get nervous about playing it because of the difficulty. So I'm just gonna be doing a run through here of kind of for a beginner, just to kind of guide you through it here. So let's go ahead and get started.
Oh yeah, pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place. Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
So for brand new players to Bloodborne, I would usually recommend when we get to class, I'll kind of guide you through here. I'm gonna name my character one of my favorite video game characters of all time, Luca from Chrono Trigger. I'm gonna change the gender to female here. Now, instead of a class system, Bloodborne has origin. So there's Milquetoast, Lone Survivor, Troubled Childhood, Violent Past, Professional, Military Veteran, Noble Scion, Cruel Fate, and Waste of Skin. Waste of Skin is basically your depraved class. If you ever played Dark Souls, you have some of the lowest stats there you can see on the far right hand side. Lowest level, lowest amount of blood echoes, vitality, endurance, and so on. If you're brand new, I would usually recommend you stick to Military Veteran. You start out at a pretty high level, pretty good vitality, endurance, strength, and skill. If you're going for more of a magic caster, you might want to go to Cruel Fate. Magic is pretty difficult for new players to get a hold of in Bloodborne, so just for your sake, let's go ahead and go with Military Veteran. Let's just change the appearance a little bit here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the face details. And let's go ahead and give her some glasses. There we go. And just for sake, you can customize your character the way you want, but let's just go ahead and get into the game. The loading screens in Bloodborne when this first came out were notorious. They were about 40 seconds long each time you died, and given that in this game you can die relatively easily, there was a lot of time just seeing a big screen with the word Bloodborne across. You'll see it if I die.
Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
Now, we're going to watch the cutscenes just in case you want to kind of keep track of where you're at, but when it comes to a lot of the dialogue, I don't want to spoil that for you if you're going to pick up Bloodborne, so this is just kind of meant as a walkthrough with basic beginner's information, just so you don't feel so overwhelmed, because this game can definitely make you rage quit if you've never played a Dark Souls or Bloodborne game before. And that's terrifying. The guys that really got me into Bloodborne were, I'm just going to give a few shout-outs here. If you YouTube Epic Name Bro, he's a really good resource when it comes to everything Bloodborne, everything Dark Souls. He's the guy I watched when I got frustrated with Bloodborne, and helped me just kind of understand the mechanics of the game and kind of a small walkthrough. So here we are, we wake up in a room. Got a pretty sweet getup here. Thinking about making this a Halloween costume one year. It's pretty simple, right? So, couple just key buttons here. Circle. It's gonna, if you're not moving, you hold circle, you'll do a back step. If you're holding circle in a direction, you'll do a roll. And then once we get a weapon, I'll show you how to equip it and how that works. If you hold down circle, you'll run, but you see up there in the left-hand corner, your green stamina endurance gauge will go down. Stamina is important. It's very key to watch that. It does everything. If you attack, it takes up stamina. If you dodge, it takes up stamina. And obviously, if you're out of stamina, you're going to be wide open for attacks. Now, this is pretty standard in a Dark Souls Bloodborne game. They usually put a difficult enemy in front of you, which is almost a scripted death. You can technically kill this thing, but if you're brand new, you can try to fight it. If you die, it's not a big deal. You're almost supposed to die, or you could just run past it. Let's go ahead and try to fight him here. Uh-oh, turn around. No matter how slow you walk, I'm pretty sure he's always turns around. And see, I got hit. And I'll go over combat more in detail. I just wanted to fight him really quick here. No. And I'm dead. So yes, you used to die in Bloodborne, and it didn't have this screen or anything. It was just a black screen that said Bloodborne across the front of it, and it would last about 40 seconds. So if you're brand new to the game, combined with that load screen, it can be really annoying to play this game. So we're now in a place called the Hunter's Dream. This is basically your main hub where you come to level up and everything. And also buy gear and talk to one of the main characters in the game. So as of right now, there's nothing really much to do here. Alright, now this is where you basically get your first weapon. I usually recommend going with the saw cleaver. However, if you're brand new to the game, the hunter's axe may be beneficial to you just because it seems to do more crowd control in its transformed state. I'll kind of show you what that means, but for right now, just for the sake of this one, we'll just go ahead and go with the saw cleaver. And then you also get to do a pistol here. I usually recommend the blunderbuss does more damage, but the hunter pistol is a faster shot for parries, and I'll review that with you as well. Now these games are notorious for not holding your hand. They basically just stick you in a world and say figure it out yourself. So just sometimes to equip weapons, if you've never done it before, it can be a little overwhelming. So basically what you do is you come down to arms, you hit the start button, come down to arms. This is your right hand weapon 1. You click X on that, that equips the saw cleaver. Now if you click R2 once, it'll say right hand weapon 2. That's where you'd put a secondary main weapon. You're going to hit R2 one more time to get left hand weapon, and that's where the hunter's pistol will go. You see now, you now have the saw cleaver and the pistol. Good place to practice some moves here. R1 is a quick attack. And again, you see your stamina gauge, your endurance gauge going down. R2 is a heavy attack. That takes a lot of endurance. L2 shoots your pistol. Now, our L1 does a transform of the weapon, so see now it's more of a long range weapon that can do a little bit of crowd control. one thing you're going to want to get used to doing is doing R1 and then L1 for a transformed attack. That does a shield block for anybody who has a shield, and it also does extra damage as part of that transformation. And you can also do it on the way back. So let's go ahead and now, since we got our weapons here, let's go back and to the first floor. I think we got a second viewer out there. Welcome. This is my first stream ever, and I just wanted to show people Bloodborne because I know a lot of players can who've never played it before can feel overwhelmed with it. I know I was. I actually bought this game having never played one before. Rage quit after 3 hours. Sold the game back, and thankfully the guy gave me a full refund despite me opening the game. And about 4 days later, I went back and bought it again because I was just so consumed with the lore and the aesthetics of this game. So if you remember, we died to this guy earlier. Let's go ahead and fight him now with the saw cleaver. It should be a pretty easy fight. See, now you can, if you lock on, if you hit the R3 trigger in, you'll lock onto it. If you hit it off, you'll lock out. Now, if you see this here, these are the blood echoes I had before. Blood echoes basically do everything from allowing you to purchase items to leveling up. So if you have blood echoes with you and you die, sometimes you'll have to go back to where you died to collect them. Sometimes you'll have to kill the enemy that killed you to collect them. So let's go ahead and get those back. Blood vials are the things that we use to heal. If you take damage, you hit triangle and you will heal. I'll show you that when I take damage. Got ragdoll in this game. Let's go ahead here. More blood vials. Now this game is very big on atmosphere and aesthetics, so sometimes you'll just come out and you'll just look around. And you get some pretty cool, I guess, costumes later on that you can look pretty sweet in. Quicksilver bullets, of course, you know, are the bullets you fire. Now, both blood vials and bullets are consumable, so if you lose it, if you use it, it's gone. Now, you will collect more along the way. But this game is different than other in that there's no real saving in this game. I mean, you technically save when you level up, but there's no save points, and anytime you die, all the enemies you killed come back to life. It never hurts to run away in these games if you're coming across difficult enemies. Sometimes you can just run right past them and come back to them later. Now I'm going to show you some basic fighting techniques. Again, if you press in R3, you will lock onto the enemy, and that way it's easier to keep track. Now, one thing you're going to want to get good at is parrying in this game. You parry by firing the weapon at just the right time when they're getting ready to attack. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it. So if you see right there, I shot him right as he went to attack. And then if you go up to the enemy when they're parried, if you hit R1, you will do a riposte where you will basically do what's called a visceral. Now, the key thing to learn is that you can't be moving and hit R1. You have to shoot them, so you stun them, go up, and then hit R1 without moving. If you're moving when you hit R1, you'll just do that kind of attack. Now, obviously, I know where a lot of enemies are, so it's not going to be as difficult. One thing you're going to want to learn is that enemies that are asleep, like these two right here, take more damage if you hit them while they're asleep or getting up. So you should be able to one-shot this guy right here. Or not. If you hit forward on the L stick and then R2 at the same time, you'll do a jumping attack. But it's, I mean, it does good damage, but nope, that's not it. That's it right there. You can dive through these things, so you'll want to pick up as much stuff as you can. I'm just going to show you how to equip an item really quick because we picked up some Molotov cocktails. Now, a lot of enemies in this game are weak to fire. Basically, if you read the description for the Molotov cocktail, certain types of beasts have abnormal fear to flame. I'm gonna, I don't want to spoil anything in the game for you, so I'm not going to go through much descriptions with you. I'll let you get into that lore yourself. But in order to equip an item, you basically, again, click the start button, go down to quick items, select the Molotov cocktail. And then as you get more items, you will, as you can see, you can put a total of 6 items in there. If you hit the down button on the D-pad, you'll cycle through them. I only have Molotov cocktails right now, so I can only cycle through those. And then you hit square to use them. If you hold down circle when you're climbing, you'll climb faster. It doesn't take endurance or anything from you. That does not sound too enticing. So these are lampposts. These are essentially save points in terms of where, you'll basically, if you die, you'll come back here. But again, if you go through a whole area and then you die, you'll come back here with no blood echoes on you. I'm just gonna talk this guy, but again, I'm gonna let you go through the lore of the game yourself. So you basically, if you see a lamppost in the game, you're gonna wanna, open it up and talk to it. So let's go and get started here. Pebbles are cool sometimes. I think some people overvalue them, but you can use them to lure an enemy away that's in a group. This game has lots of jump scares, so get used to that. Now this is where, see that guy, this guy has a wooden shield up, so if I go to attack him right now, it took that and he still just recovered really quick. So now here's what you're going to want to do: an R1 and then an L1 transformed attack. And now he's open to attack. So now this is where I mentioned earlier where if you're a little new to the game and you're kind of a little worried about being overwhelmed, if you had the Hunter's Axe, you could transform it and you could do a broad sweeping attack to do a little bit more crowd control. In the meantime, we're just going to use a pebble to attract one guy at a time. We're going to do it again. Let's go and try to parry this guy. See, now sometimes it doesn't always work. You have to be careful. If you successfully parry the guy, you'll hear the sound, and the guy will fall to his knees. Another key aspect of this game is shortcuts. So, despite there not being save points, there are shortcuts everywhere. So I missed it when I first came out of the room, but if you went up to the right, there was a gate that was locked. See, we're now back to where we were earlier. Shortcuts are key because it allows you to basically skip. They basically put them near and around bosses, so that way in case you do die, you don't have to run all the way back around again. Let me show you another. We'll go back to it in case. So let's go up here. Let's go and talk to these ladies here.
Are you that out? Well, sorry, but I'll trot along.
There are not a lot of welcoming people in this game, and the ones that are kind of freaks. Now this game is always moving, so as you see, I'm talking to somebody right now, but there's enemies coming up. Let's try to parry this guy here. No, he's gonna fire me. Oh no! So as you see, a lot of enemies have different variant attacks. That guy, you can try to bait out the swing attack, or if he tries to set you on fire, that's obviously going to hurt a lot. So yeah. So yeah, parrying can be overwhelming at first just because you kind of go through waves where it's working all the time, and then you hit a couple of enemies and it won't work, and then especially if you're facing tougher enemies, they can do a lot of damage to you. Now the most blood vials and bullets you can keep at one time are 20. If you start collecting more blood vials, they will go into an inventory. If you're new to the game, you're probably going to die a lot, so especially on bosses. So what can happen is you can die a lot and then you have to farm blood vials, and that's never fun. So when you're not facing a boss, unless you really need to heal, I usually don't. I'm gonna take some damage from an enemy so I can show you the recovery system. So if you see in the upper left hand corner, you see my health, and it's there's a red bar with a white line there. If you take damage from an enemy, if you can counterattack them within a certain time frame, you will recover health. So it really encourages you to be aggressive. But of course, if you're facing a tough enemy or one that's doing multiple attacks, it may not be beneficial to sit there and wail on them because you're going to take more damage than you recover. But let's take some damage here. So if you see the white line, it's going back up, and you can see the aura around me that's coming back. So basically, this is what we're going to use to level up our weapons. Again, I'm going to let you read through them there, but I'll show you how to level up your weapon as well later on. We know this guy here. Ooh! I knew he was there and he still got me. Okay. So we're going to perform a backstab on this guy right here. Oh, that's I think I hear somebody else coming up. Yep. Oh, they're all coming. So yeah, it never hurts to back up. Again, you did the transfer there, you did extra damage. And of course, you can do multiple damage with one swing to multiple enemies. Oh no! Okay, let's try to do this backstab. So yeah, it never hurts to back up, but you have to be careful because sometimes you can miss an enemy and then you'll just get ganked from behind. Oh, see, there's a guy right there. What do you want? Get away from me. I just wanted to point out this troll back here. Again, as I mentioned earlier with the wolf in the front room, that these games are notorious for putting a difficult enemy early on, and some people who've never played these games think you have to fight them. You can just run past it. He does not give you anything at all. This is again another difficult part for a new player. There's a lot of enemies there. And again, sometimes with the way the characters are drawn, you can't see them. So this is where I died for about 2 hours straight, where I rage quit. I didn't realize you can run past them, it doesn't matter. But I did want to try to show you a backstab. So there's a guy that's not paying attention way over there. If you walk up slowly, just obviously don't hold down circle and slowly move the L stick up. If you get up behind him and then you hold down R2, it should stagger him, and then again you go up to it and press R1 to do the visceral attack. Viscerals do a lot of damage, so it's always good to try to visceral if you can. So I'm going to show you what I did on my first playthrough after I kind of understood the game, just so you don't rage quit like I did. I basically just ran past all of these guys here. Now there's items over here that you can get. Let's see, there's a lot of guys. There's a ton of guys down there. They will eventually stop following you. Oh, I got shot in the back. Okay, let's go ahead and heal. Uh-oh, get away. Hey, what are you doing? Okay, I'm dead. I got lucky with that. I thought he was going to hit me with a fire again. Okay, let's go ahead and heal just so I don't die on you. Another bloodstone shard. Again, those level up your weapons later on. So I want to go ahead and... It's very important in this game to get down enemies' attack patterns. So you see there, they're kind of waiting on me. These guys pretty much only attack right in front of them. So you can either back up, or you can go to the side of them. And I missed that jumping attack. Okay, we got an oiler in there. Basically, it covers the target in oil when thrown. So imagine if you throw an oil urn at somebody and then you throw a Molotov cocktail on them, it's going to do extra damage. Somebody's having some fun. Let's go check what they're doing. Let's go ahead and read this here.
Well, stuck outside on a night of the hunt.
Again, not very nice people.
Poor thing.
Basically, a long story short, there's some kind of scourge going on where people are turning into beasts, so that's why nobody's coming outside, and the people who are outside are not very friendly. So I'm gonna help you out here and kind of, if you want, take a shortcut here to show you how to make this first level a little bit easier for new players. If you hit circle, you can find that you can roll through a lot of different objects. So we just there was a little shortcut there blocked by all the caskets and everything. We're gonna kill the dogs. What's over here? Oh, another dog. Now, obviously, these dogs are vicious. Let's take a look. What is this dog doing here? Let's do a jumping attack at the dog.
I've heard I have. Shutting up indoors isn't always enough. Well, if you want to, you're obligated to help me, you hear? So what'll it be? Are you going to tell me you're not?
So basically, she's asking if I can help her. As of right now, I can't, because I haven't progressed far enough in the game. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see that after killing all these enemies, I've now collected 2,100 blood echoes. I was going to say souls from Dark Souls, but they're blood echoes. The bottom number is I have 0 insight. I'll review that with you once I collect some. But let's go ahead and uncover a shortcut here. So as you remember, what the heck? Is there a dog? No. As you remember, I dropped down from right there. You're gonna come right around here at this corner, go up the stairs. If you come up here, get some cold blood dews. That's just basically these are consumables that you use to gain more blood echoes. Come back down. Now there's some enemies in here. There is a guy in a wheelchair right here, so be careful. If you listen closely, you can actually hear voices in the house. It's pretty creepy if you've never played the game before, where you just hear voices talking. They try to set you up by putting an item right there, but you can see the guy right here. Early on in the game, if you're low on bullets, that you can kill this guy every time for a reliable 3 bullets. Okay, let's go ahead and I don't want to die here, so I'm just gonna kill this guy. Oh, I got it. No. So yeah, to kill that guy here, come up the stairs. Another bloodstone shard. You walk up here. And if you remember, this is where we climbed up the staircase, so that's a shortcut. So if you don't want to have to run through that crowd of enemies again, instead of going right, you just hang it left. So let's go ahead and continue on here. So this game is very big on leveling up your weapon. It's also key on leveling up your character, but you can sometimes just avoid all the enemies and go fight the boss, and if you're really good at dodging and have the mechanics of the game down, you can sometimes kill the boss. Just for your sake, let's just go ahead and play like we're gonna first level up. A little tip here, if you stay on this top level here, and you roll through these barrels, come over here. We're gonna meet our first actual NPC here that we can see.
A hunter, are you? And an outsider? What a mess you've been caught up in. And tonight of all nights. Here, to welcome the new hunter. Prepare yourself for the worst.
Eileen is a really cool character, and she's got some awesome weapons. You'll see them later on. They're called the Blades of Mercy, and she's basically a juggernaut when it comes to attacking.
Still lingering about. What's wrong? A hunter unnerved by a few beasts. No matter. Without fear in our hearts, we're little different from the beasts themselves. What are you still? Enough trembling in the boots.
Just getting pissed off. So, one thing you're going to want to be aware of in this game is, especially with characters like these, you can attack anybody that you can see. So, I could right now the game's a little bit gracious in that if you accidentally attack somebody, they won't fight you automatically, but if I were to start wailing on Eileen here, she's going to attack me, and I will then lose access to any other interactions I have with her or any potential small quests she could give me. So be careful who you attack, because you can kill them, or you can make them a permanent enemy in the game, or anytime you come across them, they will fight you. So we're not going to fight her right now. And you can go through the entire game without fighting her, I just meant right now. This game is also very big on platforming. You do take serious fall damage if you fall. But if you roll right as you land, you'll take less damage, but you don't really want to tempt the fates too much. So we're going to fall right here. See right there, I took fall damage. I didn't know. Oh crap! That's Bloodborne for you. So yeah, if you look in the right-hand corner now, once the game reloads, you'll see I now have 0 blood echoes. So later on in the game, at one point, you can have like 10, 15,000, and you die, and it's all gone. But thankfully we opened up the shortcut here, so we can just go back. Let's go ahead and show you another backstab. Get in behind him. R2, R1. Just to be a dick, let's go ahead and kill the wheelchair guy again to get his bullets. Again, 4 bullets. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I died, so everything I killed here is back. So the dogs are going to be back. We're going to just ignore them for now. They're going to come attack me. Okay. Now let's see where these blood echoes went. It might be in the guy that killed me, so we're going to go fight him. If an enemy is the one that has your blood echoes, their eyes will be glowing purple, and that means you actually have, see right there, you actually have to kill him in order to get those back. Let's go and kill him. Parry, visceral, dead, and blood echoes retrieved. There you go. Now again, this game is very much trial and error. There are a lot of enemies in here, and you can't see many of them. So we're just going to play careful, but not too careful. Never hurts to get in behind things. There are snipers, and the one thing you'll find in this game is they seem to have heat-seeking bullets, where they will basically trace you. There's another enemy. Let's see if we can parry him as well. Uh-oh, nope. As you see, I recovered a lot of stamina, or a lot of vitality there, and he's dead. Nah, see, there's an enemy right there. He's a sniper. Bullets can do damage, but they don't do a lot of damage. Your gun is primarily for parrying the enemy. Now, there are guns later on that can do a lot of damage. You literally get a cannon on your arm later if you have enough strength, but primarily you're going to use... See, look at that. Not much. Now, one thing you may notice is that when you attack, if you do successive attacks, you do more damage. So at first I did about 58, and then I did 114. So the more attacks you can stream together, the more damage you'll do. But again, the more endurance you'll use, and leave yourself open up for attack. I hear footsteps. I thought there was if there's an enemy. Okay, let's see if we can get around him. Okay. Now this is kind of a dangerous area. Again, the key in this game is to be aware of the audio cues. You want to be safe, but not too safe. If you ever played Dark Souls, you have a shield in that game where you can absorb damage. In this game, you don't have a shield, so you're kind of screwed. So let's go here. There's 2 rats here. Picked up some throwing knives. Items in this game can scale with the arcane stat. Since we're going with a strength build, it's not going to come into play that much for us. But just be aware. So like throwing knives by themselves don't cause much damage. But if you see there's an attribute bonus. I would recommend for your first playthrough stick to a strength or a skill build, because in this game magic is the arcane build is kind of hard to do and level up through with your first playthrough. Again, that rat is... Let's go ahead and... Oh, he died. Another throwing knife. Now just be aware that if you were to fall and fall in this little middle aisle here, I believe all of the rats will be aware of that and come and attack you. Maybe one or two might, but the ones down there will, definitely the ones up here will. Let's see what these rats are looking at here. Madman's knowledge. Okay, this is a pretty important item here, so we're going to take a look at that. Okay. Oops, wrong button. Skull of a madman touched by the wisdom of the Great Ones, used to gain insight. Making contact with Eldritch wisdom is a blessing, for even if it drives one mad, it allows one to serve a greater purpose for posterity. Doesn't mean much right now, does it? But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the Hunter's Dream and show you how to level up, because that's going to be key for a new player. Let's see, hopefully I don't die on my way back. Oh, took a shot. Nope, don't die. Now you gain insight by finding Madman's knowledge. You also gain insight by seeing an enemy and killing an enemy. Not an enemy, I'm sorry, a boss. And the more insight you have, the more later on you start to hallucinate, so you can actually see enemies that somebody else would not see who doesn't have enough insight. I don't want to die to these dogs. Let's go and kill them. Die! Let's go and run past this other dog here. We're going again back to the lamp, just so you can see how to level up. Alrighty, and we're back. So, as of right now, this is a pretty straightforward place. There's, looks like a dead doll. This is where we came to collect our weapon. If we come in here, you're going to meet one of the main NPCs. His name is Gehrman.
Welcome to the Hunter's Dream. This will be your home for now. I am Gehrman. Friend to you. You're sure to be in a fine haze.
Again, I don't want to spoil the lore of the game for you, so I'm just going to click through all this. Just be aware you can talk to NPCs multiple times, and they will, you know, say more stuff. Once they start repeating the same thing, you know you've met the requirement for this current segment of the game. As I mentioned earlier, you can attack him. Now, in this case, because of his role in the game, he won't become an enemy. I could kill him and he's dead, but he'll come back. So, as I mentioned, we have the Madman's knowledge, and as of right now, the doll's just sitting there. If we use the Madman's knowledge, I believe we have to come back and the doll will be awake. Made a mistake there. Let's go back to Central Yharnam. Now, the one bad thing about Bloodborne is that in Dark Souls, when you go from place to place, you can transport from one area to the other. But in Bloodborne, you have to first go back to the Hunter's Dream and then go to the place you want to go to. So, as I mentioned earlier, when there were 40, 50-second load screens for Bloodborne, it a lot of time looking at a screen with nothing going on. So yeah, I used the Madman knowledge, and now the doll's awake. Let's go and talk to her.
Hello, good hunter. I am a doll, honorable hunt, and I will channel them. You will hunt beasts to embolden you.
So there's talk where you can learn more information from her. She's asking if you spoke to Gehrman.
Still, such is
I don't know what I did there. I did some kind of emote.
farewell.
Now, as of right now, we're at around 3,200 blood echoes. We're going to use the cold blood, and one thing that never made sense in this game is you see it says cold blood do 1, cold blood do 3. It continually adds on to them, don't know why, but as of right now it says I have 3 of cold blood do 1, so we're gonna use multiple, use all 3. So now we're gonna go up to 4,300, and we're gonna have to use the other one. Now we're at 5,200. I did just want to go through some basic items with you, so you know how to use them. The bold hunter's mark you can use, and basically, let's say you have 10,000 blood echoes, and you're afraid you're gonna die before you level up. You could use that bold hunter's mark, and you will basically reawaken back at the new lamppost with all of your blood echoes intact. So you can go and level up, but then you will lose your progress in the level, so if you think you're close to finding a shortcut, you're going to have to run through the whole level again to find that shortcut. The Pungent Blood Cocktail, thrown to attract beasts. We'll use this later on to fight one of the bosses. Basically, if you throw this item, instead of attacking you, they will go after where you threw the cocktail. Let's go and level up first.
Welcome. What is it?
We're going to go channel blood echoes. Use blood echoes to raise your stats and level up. So they finally gave you some guidance in the game.
Very well. Let me stand close.
So I'm just going to kind of run through the basics here. We kind of talked about it earlier. Vitality is pretty straightforward. Levels up your HP. More levels, the higher you go, the more health you're going to get. Endurance, again, same things. That's, as I mentioned earlier, where you're attacking enemies and dodging. The more endurance, the better. You'll come across weapons in this game that either have a strength stat or a skill stat. Skill weapons are things like the saw cleaver. Strength weapons are things like the axe, and later on you can have a holy blade that requires strength. Basically, strength, you can see there when I leveled up, it increased my right hand weapon 1 and my physical defense. Skill did the same thing. Now, the one good thing about this game is that no matter what you level up, your physical defense will go up. So there I'm leveling up vitality, physical defense goes up. Level up skill, physical defense goes up. So no matter what, you're gaining levels in your physical defense. Blood tinge is how much damage your firearms do. It also has to do with, there are some weapons later on in the game that get extra bonuses for blood tinge. It basically scales with blood tinge. But again, you saw physical defense still goes up. Arcane is magic. As I mentioned earlier, for a new player, if you want to get fancy, you can level up Arcane, but we're going to stick to the main stats here of vitality, endurance, strength, and skill. Usually you want to kind of level up one or the other, but there are some weapons where you have to have a certain number of strength and a certain number of skill. Let's go ahead right now. We have 5,200 blood echoes. It requires 820 for one level. Let's go ahead and level up vitality, endurance. We still have 3,600 blood echoes. Let's do 2 strength. And so now we can no longer level up because we have only 1,300 blood echoes and it requires 1,440. So we're gonna level up. Now, I don't necessarily recommend following my necessary stats. There are guides online where you can follow a build, but basically you're going to want to be careful not to spend too many points on so many different areas. You kind of want to stick to vitality, endurance, either strength or skill, or arcane and strength. You don't want to have a character that has tons of vitality, tons of endurance, tons of strength, tons of blunted, tons of arcane, because at that point you're just wasting blood echoes. Each area does have what's called a soft cap, where after you get that cap, you start to diminish the amount of increase you see. So, for instance, once you get to 25 endurance, you might start getting less of a stat bonus for endurance as you level it up. Now, as you see here, we still have 1,300 blood echoes. There's a couple of things you can do. You can either continue on with that number of blood echoes. You could come over to the messenger's bath here, and this is where you can buy and sell items. You can buy more blood vials. You can buy quicksilver bullets. You can buy Molotov cocktails. You can also sell items. What I would usually recommend for a brand new player is, if you hate farming things, anytime you have any leftover blood echoes, come to the bath and just buy some blood vials. Spend the last 1,200 on blood vials. That way, if you do die to a boss many times, you don't have to go and farm blood echoes, because as I mentioned, if I only have 20 blood echoes and I use 10 of them, I now only have 10 blood echoes to use for, blood vials to use for the rest of the fight, and I have to go get more. Consume insight and ring the beckoning bell to enlist the cooperation of hunters from other worlds. So there is an online mode to this feature. I'm not currently using it, where you can summon other players to help you. Either get through a level or fight the boss. After level 30, I believe, you can actually have other players come in and invade you. So you could be playing the game by yourself, have 15,000 blood echoes, and then somebody invades you, and they're going to try to kill you and take your blood echoes. It's a really interesting feature for a brand new player who just wants to kind of get used to the game and progress through the story. I would usually recommend playing offline unless you like the PvP action. That was the old Hunter's Bell. Basically what happens is you can summon NPCs that are not other players, that are basically part of the game, and they will help you for a boss fight. So now we only have 73 blood echoes. We can't level up anymore. We can't buy any more things. So we're going to come back to the gravestone and go back to Central Yharnam. Okay, so now let's go back to where we were. We're gonna fight this guy here.
This time's finished.
Pretty easy now that we're leveled up. Let's throw a knife at this guy. Oh, nope, he sees me already. Let's go ahead and kill this guy again to get more bullets. And as you can see, the green bar next to the quicksilver bullets just means 4 is going into my extra storage, so it never hurts to kill things to get their blood vials. Now, and obviously not everything gets a blood vial, not everything gets a bullet, it's random. Let's go back to where we were. Now again, everything's back alive. Here are the dogs again. We're gonna run past them. Once you level up and use all your blood echoes, it never really hurts to just keep running because you've already cleared everything. And granted, you can get more blood echoes and level up, but there's too much of a time waste to just go and fight everything all over again. Now things will follow you to a certain extent, but you can usually outrun them. Hello. There's the heat-seeking sniper again. What's over here? Why is he following me? There's the parry, there's the riposte, and dead. What does he have there? Okay, I'll go collect that. Don't get shot, don't get shot! Blood vials! Now, obviously I know what's going on here, but this game is going to put you in situations where it's likely you're going to die. So, normally you'd come around here, there's a guy over there, you see him. There's a guy with a shotgun, a sniper over there. So I'm going to come around the corner, and he's going to take aim at me, but it's too late. There's another guy coming over there. We're going to parry him. Another sniper over there. He's going to try to snipe me. I'm going to dodge. Oh, there's another guy up here. Let's parry him. Nope. 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 Oh, he survived. He survived my parry. Another cold blood dew. Nope, see, now because of the contrast of this game, you're gonna not see enemies. I almost ran past that bird. There's another one right there. There's two right there. Come here. For certain enemies, it doesn't hurt to let them attack just to get their pattern out of the way. There's another bird right there, see? What kind of game is this? It's like they almost want you to die. More pebbles. I don't care about pebbles. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're gonna fall down here. Okay, let's go and heal. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it never hurts to heal occasionally, but there's a lot of bosses later on that new players are gonna die to a lot. And it can be really annoying to have to farm blood echoes. I'm sorry, blood vials. So it never really hurts to not necessarily always heal. More birds again. What's this guy doing here? Another madman's knowledge. Another pebble, who cares about that? So now we climbed up that ladder here, we got a guy here. Again, if you walk slowly behind him. Hit R2. Oh, crap. He heard me. Let's try to parry him. He might kill me, though. Ah, ha, ha. More blood vials into the inventory. Climb this ladder here. So another window. Let's go ahead and talk to this window here.
Who are you? I don't know your voice, but I know that smell. Are you a hunter? Please go look for my mum. Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him, but now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared.
So let's go ahead and be nice and find the girl's mother. There's a lot of tragic characters in this game.
My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, I mustn't forget. If you find my mum, give her this music box. It plays one of Daddy's favourite songs. And when Daddy forgets us, we play it for him so he remembers. Mum's so silly when I'm off without it. My mum wears
Alright, so we're gonna help out this girl here, find her mom. We're gonna open up this gate here. I don't think I showed you this area, this little specific gate before. But if we wait for the gate to open, we're gonna be back in the little square that I came at earlier. Whee! Hold down circle, you'll slide down the ladder. Help speed things along. We're gonna go back here. Nope, don't fall off. Whee! Now, again, this game's gonna try to trick you. Now, everything looks dead down there. If you hit R3, you'll see everything's alive and it will attack you. But, again, as I mentioned in this game, you can just go in there, grab it, and get out. But again, you can kill those things and get blood echoes. We're not gonna do that right now. Oh, lovely game. Ah! Yeah, this game's gonna try to scare you. Oh, more slimy guys. Ow. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. If you come to the end of this tunnel here, we're gonna climb this ladder. Now, this is something for later, for the second boss, but we're gonna go ahead and activate this elevator. And then I'll show you how to get here later. This is basically the same location we were at before with the shortcut. So if we go up this ladder here, go up that stairs here, and there's the hallway to the shortcut. So we're back there again. Oh crap. Should we try to parry this guy here? No, there's two of them. Let's get out of here. Oh crap. Let's see if we can get one of them one-on-one. What are you doing? Get away. You can't come over here. You're not supposed to come over here. Get out of here. Come back here. Alright, let's fight you. Come back here. Come back here. You, right there. Hey, you. Oh, yeah. He's not dead, though, so let's go ahead and kill him here. Now, if you see there, I took some initial damage, but when I parried and visceral them, I gained all of the vitality back. Let's go back. Okay, let's go ahead and go back down the ladder. Now, what the heck? Now you're gonna want to run through this here, otherwise that pig down there is gonna charge you. We might die to it, but let's try it. Gonna come behind it. No, don't turn around. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Ooh, right there. No. Let's just run forward. Usually you don't want to try to run past it and do a visceral on its butt. Got the Saw Hunter badge. Let's take a look and see what that is. Badge of a workshop sanctioned hunter. Badge crafted long ago at the workshop. Attests to one's prowess as a hunter of beast. The workshop is gone, and no group recognizes this meaningless badge except the messengers in the bath who understand its profundity. Certain things can only be entrusted with a hunter in possession of this badge, or so they believe. So you'll gain key items along the way that will unlock things at the bath that I showed you where to buy the blood vials at. Another cold blood dew. Let's come back here. And then if you... I almost jumped off of there. So you can tell it's very easy to get lost in these levels. So, as I mentioned earlier, you have the Bold Hunter's Mark, where if you have a ton of blood echoes, you're afraid of dying, you don't know where you're at, you can always use the Hunter's Mark and just come back. Where am I? Oh, I'm on the other end of them. Let's go ahead and go back down. Now, sometimes an enemy may die outside of your hands, where they may fall off a cliff or another enemy may accidentally kill them. So that's why I got blood echoes there without actually doing anything. That troll unleashed a flaming rock and killed a bunch of enemies. No, 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 don't hit me. Let's go get some new gear so we can level up our defense a little bit better. As a new player, it never hurts to level up. Even if you have to go back and, you know, go through the level again, it's much better than having too many blood echoes and then dying, and you just feel like you wasted an hour of your time. We're not going to do that, however. We're going to go back to the little girl. Okay, so let's go ahead and see where we're at. So, very early on in the stream, you saw me run from this direction over here, and then I took the shortcut that's behind these columns. Now we're just going to go through the level as normal, where this is the, when I mentioned earlier, the old Hunter's Bell, where you can summon the NPC to come help you in the fight. We're not going to do that right now. Let's go ahead and fight this troll. I believe no matter how slow you walk, this troll will turn around. Yep. Let's try to parry him. He jumped! Ow! No, no. Come here. Come here. Ow! So yeah, some enemies, smaller enemies, if you attack them, you'll stagger them to where they'll stop their attack. With these troll guys and bigger guys, they'll just power right through it and take your head off. So we're gonna ragdoll them a little bit. We have a lot of blood vials in storage, so let's go ahead and use one here. You got a torch here, you can equip it in your left hand. It helps if you're in the dark. Only bad thing is that it takes away your gun to parry. Now you can attack with it, but it's usually not worthwhile. So again, this is another death trap. There's a dog there. There's a dog there. There's two. Enemies can hit you through walls and fences, but you can also hit them through walls and fences. So it's kind of a come here, dog. Now the one thing that guns are good for is that dogs hate the gun. So I can take that dog. Come here. Okay, see another dog. Let's throw a pebble. Oh, I don't have it selected. Come here, you. I'm dead. Woo-wee! So see there, I got greedy and I tried to counterattack, and he was still just. I was basically just running into the fire. Don't get discouraged if your parries aren't working. It's just a timing thing. I still mess up on it. And never, if you fail on a parry, you can just try to back up and try to parry him again. What's this guy doing here? He can't hit me. What are you doing? Come here, you. Hey, there you are. There we go. No! See, I was hitting forward there, so I didn't do the visceral. Hey, dog. Come here. Come here, dog. Ow! Thankfully, I recovered all my health there. So you do get a lot of blood vials through the game, but as I mentioned before, I mean, there are some beasts, some bosses that you can die to 20 or 30 times in a row, and if you're using blood vials, you're going to go through your inventory, and then you're going to be stuck at 2 blood vials. I'm going to pause the game really quick. Now, in this game, you can't really pause it. Enemies will still be patrolling, but I've killed everything here, so I'm in a safe spot. And we're back. Okay, let's take a look here. I just went ahead and got rid of the pebble and the throwing knives, because those are really only good for, you know, trying to single one enemy off. This is another point in the game where a new player may get frustrated and rage quit. There are 2 wolves with full health, and you don't have to fight them. You can try to fight them, but if you're, as I mentioned, new, chances are you're going to die. And if you didn't uncover the shortcut and you don't know that you can run past them, you might just face them a few times, die, and give up. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to go find some more armor. I came up these stairs here, just went straight across, came down. If you go to the right here, you'll see there's the square where we ran past all the enemies. Again, you don't have to fight all those enemies. You can try. The best idea, if you're going to fight them, is to stay up on this platform here and try to draw them one by one. You might accidentally draw 1 or 2, but it's better than trying to take on 7 at a time. But we're going to roll through this here. Another bloodstone shard. We're going to roll through this here. And we found the hidden area. Let's roll off there. Again, this game is very big on platforming. Alrighty. Sorry about that. Oops, did not mean to do that. Okay, we're gonna fall down here. Alright, now you can... Let's try this, let's try this. Oh yeah. But he's not... Ow, jerk. So yeah, you can do leaping attacks off of, you know, higher up areas. You just hit R2. And you can also just fall off and land on enemies and do damage, but there we at least got some damage with our weapon. Let's get another guy here. Let's see if we can parry him. Again, to parry, you wait till they attack, then hit L2 to fire your weapon. You just got to stay on your toes, because if you'll notice right away whether or not you parry them. If you don't parry them, these guys can almost two-shot you, so let's get him to turn around here. Come here. Come here, you. So you're going to want to back up immediately if you don't get the parry off. There we go. And he's dead. Let's run back here. Now, if you see here, there's lots of rats. Again, this game is going to try to put you in situations where one mistake equals death. There's 2 rats over there, there's 1 right there, there's 2 right there. So it never hurts to scout out your area. There's 2 over here, or 1 over here, and FromSoft thankfully said, hey, let's see if the person is tempted to fall right on this beam here. Chances are, for your first time, you're just going to mess up and just go to the left of it or the right of it. I'm probably going to mess up as well. Let's try it. Hey! Let's go ahead. Okay, so let's do a jumping attack off of here. And he's dead. Okay, so now we're gonna run up here. Hey, look, an area. Nope, there's an enemy right there. Let's try to parry him. Got him. But he's not dead yet, and he got back up fast. Let's come over here. Hunter hat, hunter garb, hunter gloves, hunter trousers. So, very similar to equipping weapons. You come down to attire. Now, if you look at the items there, they have different stats. Tells you what you're resistant to. You know, usually blue's showing an increase, red showing a decrease. In Bloodborne, items attire does make a little bit of a difference, but it's not something where you necessarily have to always be, you know, go with the best gear. So a quick easy way is once you equip one item, you can just hit R2. Now you're on the chest, R2, you're on the arms, R2, you're on the legs. And now I look awesome. Oh yeah. So let's continue back to the, whoa, hello. What are you doing there? Oh crap. Let's just shoot him to death. Take that. Oh, he died. Okay, good. Again, you normally don't kill people with a gun, but if they're really low on health and you're afraid of dying, you can just shoot. Let's throw a knife. Oh, nope, he's attacking me. Come here, you. Uh-oh. More throwing knives. Let's take a look and see what's over here. Ah, there's 2 enemies now. And again, I could in theory run in and try just to murder those 2 rats, but there's 2 rats behind them that will hear me and they'll attack me as well. So let's go ahead and throw a throwing knife. Take that. Oh, yeah, I heard him good. Another one. Come here. Again, this game is all about learning the tells of the enemy and the attack patterns, especially the bosses. Come here, you. Die. I'll again show you a transformed L1 attack after an R1 attack to do extra damage. Yeah, the Hunter's Axe, as I mentioned, is really good for crowd control because when you transform the axe, it basically goes to a 2-hand axe, and if you hold down R2, you do a massive spinning attack that can just control 4 or 5 enemies at once. Okay, nothing else there. Let's go back up the ladder. And just to save time, once I get up the ladder, I'm going to use the Mold Hunter's Mark to reawaken. I'm going to level up, and then I'm going to show you the first boss. Do I used to reawaken? Yes. So again, we come back here, we're going to go to the Hunter's Dream. For a new player, I recommend to level up before you fight the first boss. I mean, as I mentioned, some really good players, speedrunners, they just run straight to the first boss, murder it, go to the second boss, murder it, and then they level up. But for our sake, we're going to level up now. Again, you should have these cold blood dews. Let's use them all. Get as many blood echoes as possible. You can even, in theory, kill the doll. Yeah, she's dead. But I can still talk to her! So let's go ahead. We're gonna level up Vitality to 2, Endurance 1. And we're gonna confirm. And again, for new players, go back. And I just buy the remainder in blood vials. Bullets, I mean, you don't need them to survive, so I usually don't do that. And as you see by going back to the Hunter's Dream, you don't have to go back. Well, actually, I think you do have to go back to the Hunter's Dream to reload the 20 vials and bullets. If you just reawaken, it keeps you at your current amount. Now, if you do die, again, you'll go back to the number you have in your inventory. Anything you have over, you'll be at 20. Again, the max you can hold is 20. Just for the first boss sake, we're gonna itemize our inventory. I'm gonna use the blood urn, the oil urn, and the Molotov cocktails. Okay, let's go back and let's fight the first boss. I'm gonna actually not use the oil urn on this fight. If you feel overwhelmed by the first boss, you can. No harm, no foul. I believe you can always find more or buy more eventually. But I'd like to keep the oil urn for a later boss. And so now, just for time's sake, we're going to just run straight to the boss. There are multiple paths you can take the boss. If you go to the right, you're going to have to go through the town square again, go past the wolves. We're just going to go to the left here. We got the shortcut. Instead of staying downstairs, we're now going to go upstairs. If you look to our right, there would be the wolves there that we ran past. We're going to run past them to the left. We're going to run past these enemies here. And here comes the first boss. So, a lot of the bosses in Bloodborne, they're going to be very, very large. So, it might be overwhelming for a first timer to have to lock on and maneuver around when you can't really see much. For this enemy, we're going to try to stay close to him to avoid his arm attacks. And if we need to, we'll use a Molotov cocktail or two. And there he is. You can target his head or his body. We're going to go non-targeted right now. And we're just going to try to attack him. Now again, just try to stay close. Now he does have a couple of attacks where he'll swing around and attack you. But the main thing is to watch his left arm because he can grab you and take a lot of your damage with that grab. Oh, I did it right there. But I should be able to counterattack a little bit and get some health back. He jumped away. We're gonna go ahead and heal a little bit here. See, he did a kind of like a sweeping attack behind him. Thankfully, I moved. No, no, no. I'm just spamming R1s right now. You can try to do some L1s. And he's dead. Now, we had leveled up quite a bit where other players may not have. Again, if you're very confident, you can just skip everything we did for the last hour and just come straight here and try to kill the boss. And as you see, we only had 1 insight before. By seeing the boss, I believe we went to 3 insight, and now we're at 5 insight. And just so we don't waste the blood echoes, let's go ahead and spend them back at the Hunter's Dream, and I'll try the second boss, and then we'll call it a night. Alrighty, let's take a look here.
Hello, good. I am honorable, and you
Yes,
are
we know,
twin.
we know, we know.
Very well.
So we're at 2100 blood echo, or 4041. We have 2100. Let's go ahead and take a look here. 101. Let's go ahead and do another endurance. Now, one thing you can do if you want to level up a little bit faster is, if you see right now the next required level is at 2300 and we have 1900, you could in theory come over here and sell some stuff to get to the number. Do we have anything we want to sell? Not really. We could sell this junk. We're never going to use that again. Again, nothing you have to do, but if you're concerned about, if you have,
Welcome home,
later on in the game you
Hunter.
can have 10,000 blood echoes and it costs 11,000 to upgrade, to level up, and
Very
if
well,
you're concerned
that
about dying, you can just sell something and get another free level. Let's go ahead and do... Let's get more vitality. So again, you have 300 blood echoes left. Never hurts. Just buy as many blood vials as you can. Now later on, we're going to be able to level up our weapon, which does also cost blood echoes. So you'll want to consider that in, and we can already level up our weapon. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's sell something and get some blood echoes and level up our weapon. We don't need those. We need that. We need the cocktails. Oh crap. Let's just go fight the second boss. So we're gonna go back to Central Yarnum. And then if we die, we'll get some blood echoes and level up our weapon before we fight him again. So we're going to do all the inventory management before we fight them. So this is the tiny music box. Remember, we picked it up from that girl where we were talking to her through the window. Basically, a small music box received from a young Yarnum girl. Plays a song shared by her mother and father. Inside the lid is a small scrap of paper, perhaps an old message. 2 names can be made out, however faintly. Viola and Gascoigne. And guess who we're going to be fighting? So if you remember, when we climbed up that big ladder, we opened up the second shortcut. So if you just run down the stairs here, run past the 2 big ugly trolls, hopefully they don't hit me. No. No. Now we went back down the elevator, so we have to call it back up. If we hadn't gone up it originally, when we came down here, it would say this device is not operable. So you first have to go up the elevator to unlock the device. And you walk back down. Oh, that's right, I got my kick-ass glasses on. Look at that. Now, if you're a big fan of Indiana Jones, you may appreciate this. I believe this is where I died earlier because I ran off the cliff. But in theory, you can come out here, start fighting them, and then there should be... Come on, light the fire. This troll is being a jerk to me. There it comes. Alright, see? There it comes. Let's get out of the way. They didn't all die. Now, what you could do there is if you had the Hunter's Axe, you could come up here, do your charged R2, stagger them, and then run away, and the boulder will kill all of them. We're going to just run past this enemy here, run past that enemy there. We're basically just going to the second boss. But we are going to try to get this item here. Ow. Ow. Jerks. Hey, get away. What are you doing? Okay, so we're gonna run in here, we're gonna watch the cutscene. This is one of the coolest characters in the game. Another Halloween costume I want to wear one year.
Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them, sooner or later.
So he's basically saying he thinks I'm going to turn into a beast later on. And look who it is. It's Father Gascoigne. I remember it said the music box was Gascoigne. Now this enemy you can parry relatively easily, but he did not want to be parried there. And he's very aggressive. Now most bosses in this game have different phases. Parried him again.
What's that smell?
Crap. I wasted that oil on. See, now he changed his axe to be a two-hander.
It's enough to make a man sick.
So now you have to be a little bit more careful because his attacks will annihilate you. He also has a gun. Crap. Super aggressive. Here comes the third form. Now you can play the music box here and see now he's staggered. You can come up behind him for a visceral. Oh, I think it's a visceral. Now he's going to get crazy aggressive. Crap. Your hits will not stagger him here at all. That's one of the most dangerous attacks where he'll just turn. And he's dead. Again, a lot more difficult if you never played this game before. But that's why we saved the Molotov cocktails. If you saw, I used an oil urn on him in the beginning of the fight. That way when he transformed, I threw the Molotov cocktail at him. Did a lot of damage. You then use the music box. If you are lucky enough, you can use a music box, go up behind him, and then do a charged R2, and then do a visceral on him. So we lit that lamppost. But before we call it night, we're just going to run up here. This game has a lot of things you can miss if you're not paying attention. We'll come down here. And then a red jeweled brooch. Again, if you remember, we talked to that little girl. She said her mother had one of these. So it's not a very good sign, and we see a body right here. So the lore behind this is that, as you can see, Father Gascoigne started to go crazy. And spoilers, it looks like he killed his own wife. Whee! So yeah, what we're going to do here is we're just going to go back to the Hunter's Dream. You don't have to, you can keep going on. If you go up the stairs there, there's a gate, which goes on to the next area. But I'm just going to show you a few more things, and then we'll call it a night. Now, as I mentioned, Father Gascoigne is one of my favorite characters in the game. So if you come into the house and go to the second bath, you should be able to purchase all of his gear. Now, it does cost insight, but you're going to be getting a lot of insight throughout the game, so we want to look badass, right? Alrighty, so now we go here, go to attire, again R2, 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 and now look at us. Although he didn't have the kick-ass glasses, or the sweet ponytail. What else can we buy here? So now if you played online, you could buy the small resonant bell, and then you can ring the bell to summon other players. It does cost an insight when you use the bell, so that'll continually go down. But if you want to, you know, just play with a random person, you'd help with the boss. You can ring the bell. The other player does have to already have beaten the area, but this game has been out for 3 years. I believe right now it's free if you have PlayStation Plus. So if you you know, obviously have a PS4 and you have PlayStation Plus, you can go and get the game for free. Highly recommend it. Now let's go ahead, I'm going to show you how to level up the weapon. If you come over here to this table, you go to Fortify Weapon. In the upper right hand corner it says we need bloodstone shards 3, and as of right now we have 7. It'll upgrade the weapon to +1. And you can see the physical attack increase. You can see it goes from 90 damage, 99 damage, so let's go ahead and do that. Now the increase has gone from bloodstone shard from 3 to 4. I'm sorry, from 5, and we only have 4. But so that's where you go to upgrade your weapon. It did also cost us some blood echoes, but not a ton. Let's take a look. Can we modify gems yet? Let's take a look. So as of right now, we cannot modify our, we cannot put any blood gems in there, so we're gonna do that later. You can do gestures if you swipe the touchpad to the right. So if you're playing online, you can swipe it and you can do that. I never really used it that much. And let's go ahead and we'll just use the rest of these blood echoes here for a level. Again, 773. Now the cost of stuff in the messenger's bath will increase throughout the game. As of right now, it's only costing me 180 blood echoes per blood vial. I believe it goes up to, at one point in the game, it goes up to 360 to 540, so this will continually increase. You can also buy other weapons here. Other pistols. Other gear. This unlocks along the way. I believe we had the I believe it's the Saw Hunter's badge that we collected from the pig that we killed that allows us to buy these, but again, everything costs blood echoes. We're gonna rock the Father Gascoigne gear for a little bit just because it looks so awesome. So let's go ahead and buy the rest of the blood vials just to put in your inventory. You can see how much you have in your inventory by coming back into the house. And it says right there, 30 stored, 19 stored, so on, so on. Now, one thing I just kind of, as I mentioned, glossed over because I want you to enjoy the game, is you're going to want to come back here throughout the game and talk to the doll and Gehrman. As you progress through the game, it unlocks new dialogue for lore. Again, as I mentioned with other characters, the doll and Gehrman don't count, but with other characters, if you kill them, they're gone forever. So any storylines, any lore, you're gonna miss it. It might take you multiple playthroughs for you to see everything. I'm gonna still walk through the rest of this here with you, but again, I'm just kind of showing you the basics along the way on how to face enemies, how to face bosses, how to use items. So again, take your time when you play this game. Talk to people, and just enjoy it. But as of right now, we're gonna call it. I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll go on to the next session and face another boss or so. So I'll see you tomorrow.